What if there is only one continent in the world? Imagine for a moment that our world looks completely different from the one we know today. Instead of 7 continents separated by vast oceans, humanity and every ecosystem would exist on a single gigantic supercontinent. This is not just fantasy. Millions of years ago, Earth once had such a landmass called Pangaea. But what if today, in the modern world of technology, civilizations and billions of people, there was only one continent? How would this reshape our lives, the environment, and the future of our planet? The first thing to consider is geography. Without separate continents, there would be no Americas, no Europe, Africa, Asia, or Australia standing apart. Instead, all countries and cultures would be clustered together on one immense landmass stretching across the globe. Travel by land would technically be possible to almost anywhere, though the journey might require crossing deserts, mountain ranges, and vast plains. The oceans would be fewer but deeper, surrounding this single continent like an endless ring of water. Climate would be completely different as well. A landmass of that size would create extreme weather patterns. The central regions of the continent would likely be dry and desert-like because ocean moisture would not travel far inland. Meanwhile, the coastal areas would enjoy more moderate and livable climates. This means most cities and civilizations would probably concentrate along the coasts, while the center might remain sparsely inhabited or even uninhabitable. Ecosystems would face dramatic changes. With no oceans separating different land areas, species would spread more icily across the continent. Many animals that evolved in isolation, such as kangaroos in Australia or lemurs in Madagascar, might never have existed at all. Biodiversity might be lower overall because fewer natural barriers would mean fewer opportunities for unique species to evolve. Predators and prey would mix, leading to intense competition, and some weaker species might disappear completely. Human history would also take a very different path. Without oceans as barriers, civilizations would meet each other much earlier. Trade, cultural exchange, and wars would happen on a massive scale. Empires could grow much larger than in our world, covering regions the size of today's continents. At the same time, diseases would spread much faster. Pandemics like the Black Death or modern viruses might have been even more devastating in a supercontinent world. Economically, this world would be both connected and divided. Resources such as oil, metals, and fertile land would not be evenly spread, meaning certain regions would dominate global trade and politics. On the other hand, transportation on land would be easier, allowing the creation of massive trade networks. Imagine railways, highways, and pipelines stretching across the entire world, directly connecting billions of people. But living on one continent would also create serious risks. Natural disasters could have continent-wide effects. A massive drought in the central region, or the eruption of a supervolcano, could disrupt agriculture across much of the landmass. Unlike today, where disasters often affect only certain continents, a supercontinent could face widespread crises that threaten billions of lives at once. Culturally, humanity might develop more unity or more conflict. Without the long separations created by oceans, languages, religions, and traditions might have blended earlier, perhaps leading to more common cultures. On the other hand, since every great power would share borders, wars could be larger and far more destructive than anything in our history. Globalization in this scenario would look very different. Airplanes might still be useful, but land-based travel could replace many flights. Massive rail systems and highways could connect cities across the continent. Sea trade would still play a huge role, but instead of connecting continents, it would connect different coasts of the same supercontinent. In some ways, technology might have developed faster because of early human contact. But environmental problems might also have grown worse as industrialization spread more quickly. Even the planet's natural systems would change. Ocean currents, which are shaped by continents, would be disrupted. This could alter the global climate, making hurricanes stronger in some places and creating endless droughts in others. The position of the supercontinent on Earth would also matter. If it stretched over the poles, ice caps might grow larger. If it sat closer to the equator, deserts might dominate much of the land. For everyday human life, the experience would be both easier and harder. On one hand, traveling to distant regions might be possible by land. In human societies, might share more similarities. On the other hand, environmental challenges like extreme weather, lack of resources, and large-scale disasters would make survival more difficult in many areas. Cities might grow into massive megaregions, stretching thousands of kilometers. But huge parts of the continent could remain barren and dangerous. Looking into the future, a united supercontinent might even change the way we explore space. A more interconnected humanity could pool resources to build space programs earlier, perhaps reaching the Moon or Mars much sooner. Or, conflicts across such a vast landmass might delay progress, keeping humanity focused on wars and survival instead of exploration. The ecosystems of the oceans would also look different. With one continent, the seas would be vast and uninterrupted, creating massive marine habitats. Fish and sea mammals might grow larger, and ocean life could dominate even more than on our Earth today. Humans would rely heavily on the oceans for food and trade, perhaps even more than we do now. In the end, a world with only one continent would not simply change the map. It would reshape ecosystems, history, culture, climate, and human destiny itself. Some changes would make life easier, others much harder. It shows us how deeply geography influences the course of civilizations and the balance of nature. So, if Earth had only one continent today, would it bring unity and progress for humanity or chaos and destruction on a massive scale? The answer might lie in how humanity chooses to adapt, cooperate, and survive in such a strange and challenging world.